You return, and I feel it tonight. A different kind of anticipation in the air. Not the hunger for blood, not the weight of disaster, not the chill of folklore. Something older. Something that has been waiting in the wings while other stories took their turn. Step closer, traveller. Don't be rushed. The thing we are about to examine has all the time in the world. Literally. Take a moment to let the silence settle. It's different here. In this part of the museum, the dust does not dance. It hangs, suspended, as if time itself has slowed. The air is still, but not with the stillness of a held breath. It's the stillness of a held life, a pause that has lasted centuries. I've been saving this one for you, not because it's the darkest or the most violent, or the most tragic, but because it's the most elusive, the most slippery, a story that has been told and retold, embellished and doubted, dismissed and believed for more than 200 years. And at the centre of it all, a man who refused to do the one thing every human being must eventually do. He refused to die. Do you see it? In the case of blackened oak, angled just so as if it knows you are looking, a mirror. Not large, perhaps 2 feet tall and 1 foot wide, with a frame of carved rosewood, darkened with age. The glass is old, very old, with a faint wavy imperfection of hand-blown silvering, but it's not cracked, not clouded, not tarnished. It looks new. The plaque reads, attributed to the personal effects of Comte de Saint-Germain, Venice, circa 1750, acquired from a private collection, 1927. This is Exhibit XIV of my collection, the mirror that never aged. Look closer, traveller. Let your eyes settle on its surface. Do you see your reflection? Good. Now look again. Is it still there? Or did it flicker, just a moment, into something else? This mirror is not here because of what it shows. It's here because of what it has seen. A face that did not change. A man who appeared in the courts of Europe for decades, centuries, looking exactly the same. A man who dined with kings and claimed to have dined with emperors long dead. A man who spoke casually of conversations with Cleopatra, who corrected noblemen on the details of their own family history, who played the violin like a master and painted like a genius, and then vanished from history, only to reappear in a different country, a different decade, a different century. This mirror pulls us back to the gilded salons of 18th century Europe, to a time when the aristocracy whispered his name in awed tones, and to a man who may have been immortal, or may have been the greatest fraud the world has ever known. The man who called himself the Comte de Saint-Germain appeared in European high society around 1740, seemingly from nowhere. No one knew his birthplace, no one knew his true name, no one knew his age, though his face suggested a man in his mid-40s. His eyes held something far older. He spoke a dozen languages fluently, each without an accent. He played the violin so beautifully that the great composer, Renoir, wept upon hearing him. He painted in oils with skill that astonished professional artists. He was a chemist, an alchemist, a philosopher, a diplomat. He moved through the courts of France, England, Russia, Prussia, and Italy as if he owned them, and in a way, he did. He owned their secrets, he owned their attention, he owned their fears. The first recorded mention of Saint-Germain comes from the memoirs of the Comte de Genlis, who wrote that he claimed to have witnessed the death of Charles VII of France in 1461. When she laughed, he simply smiled and changed the subject. But later, she noticed something strange. He never aged. She saw him at intervals over 30 years, and his face remained exactly the same. In Paris, he became the darling of the salons. Madame de Pompadour, mistress of Louis XV, was fascinated by him. She gave him a laboratory in the Chateau de Chambord, where he conducted experiments that produced jewels of extraordinary quality. He claimed to be able to remove flaws from diamonds and create perfect gems from imperfect stones. The king would lock himself away with Saint-Germain for hours, emerging in a state of wonder, refusing to speak of what he had seen. Louis XV once asked Saint-Germain his age. The Count paused, then replied, "I am, sire, very old, but I do not know the exact number. I only know that I was present at the wedding feast at Cane de Galilee," he said without irony, without boast, as if it were a simple fact. The rumours spread like wildfire through the courts of Europe. Some said he was a wandering Jew, cursed to walk the earth until the end of time. Others said he was a Rosicrucian master, keeper of ancient secrets. Still others claimed he had discovered the elixir of life, that he had perfected the alchemical processes of turning base metals into gold, that he had unlocked the secrets of immortality itself. What is certain is that he never seemed to lack money, though no one knew its source. He dressed in the finest silks and velvet, adorned himself in jewels that would make a king envious, and never once asked for payment for his service. When offered money, he would decline with a wave of his hand. He had no need for it, he said. He had resources that no one else possessed. In 1760, during a diplomatic mission to The Hague, Saint-Germain was arrested on charges of espionage. The French government disavowed him. He was thrown into prison, where he laughed, where he languished for months, and then, one morning, he was gone. The cell was locked from the outside, the bars were intact, the guards had heard nothing. He had simply vanished. He reappeared in Russia a year later at the court of Catherine the Great. She was charmed by him, as everyone was. She recorded in her diary that he spoke of meeting her father, who had died 20 years before Saint-Germain's supposed birth. She asked him how this was possible. He smiled and said nothing. The Comte de Saint-Germain died, allegedly, in 1784, in the Duchy of Schleswig. The records show a funeral, a burial, a grave, but within years, reports surfaced of a man matching his description appearing in Vienna, in Milan, in Paris. A man who looked exactly like Saint-Germain, a man who had not aged a day. In 1788, a French diplomat named Comte de Amira wrote of a conversation with Saint-Germain 4 years after his supposed death. In 1821, a woman in Paris claimed to have met him in a salon, looking exactly as he had looked 80 years earlier. In 1860, a French aristocrat named Albert Van Damme reported seeing Saint-Germain in the court of Napoleon III, playing the violin at a private concert, and in 1927, when a private collection was sold, and this mirror came into my possession, the auction house records note something strange. The previous owner had died at the age of 94. In his final years, he had spoken often of a visitor who came to him in the night, a man in old-fashioned clothes with dark eyes and a gentle smile, who would sit by his bed and speak of things that had happened centuries ago. The old man claimed this visitor was the Comte de Saint-Germain, and he claimed the Count had promised to attend his funeral. He did. A man matching that description was seen in the back of the church, dressed in black velvet, his face young and unlined. He left before the service ended. No one saw where he went. This mirror was found among Saint-Germain's effects after his death in 1784. It was not a new object then. The silvering technique is Venetian, dated to the late 16th or early 17th century. That would make this at least 150 years old when Saint-Germain died. If he died. But look at it, traveller. The glass is not clouded. The silvering has not flamed. The frame, though darkened, is not rotten. This mirror is in better condition than objects half its age. Some say the clown used to check his reflection for signs of aging. He never found any. Some say he used to communicate with beings from another realm, other times. Some say it was simply a mirror, ordinary and unremarkable, and that the man who owned it was just a man, brilliant, eccentric, a master of disguise and self-invention, but mortal like the rest of us. But then why does the glass feel warm when you touch it? Why does the air around it hum with a faint, almost inaudible vibration? And why, traveller, does your reflection sometimes look back at you with a face that is not your own? So now we leave it be. A mirror, old and new, its surface unblemished by the centuries that have passed over it. It's a simple thing, a tool for seeing oneself, and yet heavy with the weight of a question that has haunted historians for 300 years. Who was the Comte de Saint-Germain? Was he a charlatan, a spy, a madman, or something else entirely? A man who found the secret that all alchemists sought, who unlocked the door that every human being has wished to open. Keep the image of that unchanging face in your mind a while longer, traveller. Think of the kings who whispered his name, the courtiers who watched him with awe and terror, the women who loved him and the men who feared him. Think of the empty cell in The Hague, the funeral he attended, the mirror that will not age. Do not try to solve it. Some mysteries are not meant to be solved, only wondered at, carried and passed on. We'll close this case for now, and you may step into the world where people are born, grow old and die. But remember, in this museum, we acknowledge the most fascinating questions are not the ones with answers, but the ones that remain open, like a door left ajar. My duty is done. The story is told. Now you carry it out into the light. And the reflections that don't quite match. This museum and its keeper will be here when you return.